On another early morning in a medieval town, people gather again around a scaffold, a stake, or a trampled field. They know that what happens here will be talked about for years. Let's continue with part 2 of the most horrible medieval deaths. First comes King Harold II of England, whose death at Hastings in 1066 changed the kingdom's future. He was the last Anglo-Saxon king, holding the ridge as Norman knights and archers climbed. The Bayeux Tapestry shows a warrior struck in the eye by an arrow. Norman writers add that his body was cut down and hacked so badly that only scars allowed it to be known. With Harold gone, armed resistance collapsed. His fall opened the way for Norman rule and a complete reshaping of English landholding and power. Next is Thomas Becket, whose killing in 1170 turned an archbishop into a center of devotion. Archbishop of Canterbury, he had once been close to Henry II, then clashed with him over control of the church. After the king's angry words, 4 knights rode to Canterbury Cathedral. They found Becket near the altar and struck his head with swords, splitting his skull before monks. Blood on the stones shocked Europe. Within a few years, his tomb became a shrine, and his death marked clear limits on pressure. On the battlefield of Evesham in 1265, Simon de Montfort died in a way meant to destroy movement. He had led barons who forced Henry III to rule with councils and assemblies. At Evesham, his outnumbered army was broken by royal forces. When the fighting closed, Simon was cut down. Chroniclers describe his head and limbs hacked off and sent as trophies. For his supporters, this showed that talks about shared rule were over. His end warned other lords not to push reform too far. Another death at the Battle of Crécy in 1346 shows how ideals of honor could outweigh safety. John of Bohemia had lost his sight but wished to fight as a knight. He asked his companions to tie his horse to theirs and lead him forward. Bound together, they rode into English arrow fire. Later, their bodies were found still linked. Edward III is said to have taken John's 3 feathers as a badge for the Prince of Wales. His choice to charge blind shows how strongly chivalry shaped decisions about life and death. The fall of Edward II shows how a deposed king might die in prison, yet live on in rumor. In 1327, he was forced to give up the crown after his wife, Isabella, and Roger Mortimer seized control. Edward was taken to Berkeley Castle, where sources agree that he died. A later account claims that a heated tool was used inside the body to leave no mark. True or not, the tale spread widely across England and beyond, and shaped ideas of secret royal punishment. In the 14th century, Castile, Peter of Castile, often called the Cruel, died at the hands of his half-brother. Years of harsh rule and political killings had gathered enemies around Henry of Trastamara. During the Civil War, the two were brought together at Montiel in 1369. Sources describe a struggle in a tent or passage, with the brothers grappling until Henry's men forced Peter down and he was stabbed. The killing ended a violent reign and placed a new dynasty on the throne, turning a family quarrel into a change of regime. Religious reformers also faced deadly sentences, as in the case of John Hus in 1415. A Czech preacher, he criticized church wealth and drew followers in Prague. He traveled to the Council of Constance under a promise of safe conduct, but was arrested and tried for heresy. Hus refused to withdraw his views unless they were disproved by scripture. He was condemned and burned. Accounts describe him praying or singing as the fire rose, with his ashes scattered to prevent veneration. His death helped spark the Hussite Wars and foreshadowed later reform. The destruction of the Knights Templar ended with the burning of their last Grand Master, Jacques de Molay, in Paris. The Templars had grown rich through estates, lending, and war. King Philip IV ordered mass arrests in 1307 and accused them of heresy. After years in prison, de Molay was brought out on the Seine to confirm forced confessions, but instead spoke of the order's innocence. He was tied to a stake and burned. His end showed how past service could vanish under royal power. These deaths show how violence, belief, and power shaped medieval endings. For clearer looks at medieval lives and conflicts, don't forget to subscribe. See you next time.